Topping today's news, criminals are growing bolder and becoming more cunning as a public bus driver is shot dead today while on duty. The Prime Minister reluctantly announcing an increase in electricity cost, a new procurement platform launched for companies bidding on government contracts, and a teachers' union calling on the government to remove a principal from a local primary school. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Police are investigating the latest double shooting that left a 32-year-old man dead and a 16-year-old with injuries after being shot in the crossfire. The incident occurred shortly before 10 a.m. on a 15A bus filled with passengers. According to sources, JCN News has identified the 32-year-old victim as Giovanni Lefleur, who was out on bail for murder and attempted murder. Police Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings gives the details on this incident.
16-year-old is presently at the hospital receiving medical attention. Information is that shortly before 10 o'clock this morning, a male was exiting a 15A bus in the area of Florida Court and Robinson Road. As he exited the bus, he approached the driver, fired a shot at the driver, killing him on scene.
Bus drivers lined the streets as they got the news of the death of one of their colleagues. Yet again, Superintendent Skippings makes this appeal to members of the public.
And again, we sent a plea out to members of the public who reside in this immediate area, who may have seen something. You may have seen a vehicle leaving the area at a high rate of speed. You may have seen a suspect that may have exited the bus. We want you to reach out to the officers of the Criminal Investigation Department and provide them with the necessary information so that we can bring this matter to a close. I also take this time again to speak to parents and family members who know that their families are in possession of weapons. I ask you to reach out to your police department, provide us with the information. Let's get these weapons off the streets. These weapons, yeah, they're intended for other persons, but again, I reiterate, those weapons can actually be used on you or your family members.
With this incident taking place on a public service transportation vehicle, Chief Superintendent Skipping says police are concerned.
But yet again, it speaks to individuals and it speaks to family, and you hear me keep saying that. When that individual left home or when he left a residence, somebody knew he had a weapon. The right thing to do would be to contact the police to save a life. We are concerned about it. We do have saturated patrols, and I'm certain that the question you asked after that, that will be taken up at a higher level yet to determine whether or not it will call for police officers to now also be on public service transportation.
Meanwhile, police have officially released the identities of some of the country's latest homicide victims, those killed between September 28th and October 2nd. The first homicide victim, who was gunned down last Wednesday on Abaco, has been identified as 49-year-old Andre Kiki Varakis of Pinewood Gardens. Kiki Varakis was the country's 100th homicide. He was found dead with gunshot wounds to the upper body behind a business establishment in the area of Crossing Rocks, South Abaco. 27-year-old Daquan Lundy of Malcolm Road is the second victim identified. Police found him lying in the streets on High Point Road off John F. Kennedy Drive last Thursday after receiving calls of a possible traffic accident. However, he was discovered with multiple gunshot injuries. As for the young lady shot on Arawak Key on Sunday, she has been officially identified as 19-year-old Candace Clark of Croton Street off Faith Avenue. She was at Junkanoo Village, Arawak Key, when she was shot multiple times by a male in a hooded jacket. Police have also identified the man shot by officers on Sunday evening as 31-year-old Larry McIntosh of Mount Royal Avenue. He was fatally shot while at Kenilworth Street after police found him standing over another male that he had allegedly attacked with an axe. Police are continuing their investigations into these matters and are appealing to members of the public who may have information regarding these matters or any other incident to contact the police at 919-911, the Criminal Investigation Department at 502-9991 or 2, or the Crime Stoppers telephone number at 328-TIPS. That's 328-8477. Prime Minister Philip Davis announcing today that the Bahamas Power and Light Company has announced an increase in monthly fuel charges, meaning electrical bills will be more costly across the board. However, there are some efforts by the government to reduce the impact of the increase. We get more details in this next report by Lassie Bastian.
For too long, high energy costs have hurt households and businesses alike. I know the short-term increases announced today are very unwelcome news. I wanted to be the one to tell you.
And with that, Prime Minister Philip Davis is asking electricity consumers to hang in just a little longer as the country is on a path to a very different energy future. But for now, electricity bills will increase for a short term, and that increase will be seen on your November bills. The Prime Minister on Tuesday morning in a special called press conference at his office said Bahamas Power and Light, BPL, has been approved to increase its monthly fuel charges. Now, a large majority of BPL customers who consume less than 800 kilowatt hours fuel charge there is increasing by 2 cents per kilowatt hour, resulting in an increase this quarter of less than $20 per month. If your current monthly bill is $182 or less, this is the category you fall in. For those who consume more than 800 kilowatt hours, the increase there is 4.3 cents per kilowatt hour. Prime Minister Philip Davis says the government will raise the value-added tax ceiling from $300 to $400. Thus, going forward, no VAT will be due on any electricity bills under $400. This, the Prime Minister says, will take some of the sting out of the 4.3 cents increase.
Prices have increased on nearly everything, everywhere. And you all know that global inflation hits those of us who live in small island nations especially hard. On top of that, in February, the Russian-Ukrainian war began, disrupting global trade and raising oil and gas prices sharply. There was discussions at that time, about increasing BPL's monthly fuel charge. We made the decision to postpone the increase and keep the charge low as long as possible, given the hardships Bahamian households were facing after so many difficult years in a row, and given other inflationary pressures. Unfortunately, we can't postpone the increase any longer. Now that we have passed summer, and moving into a period of lower electricity usage, the government has approved BPL's request for this phased-in increase.
Prime Minister Davis says that the introduction of the increase comes at the time of the year when there is low electricity consumption, as opposed to the increase coming during the spring and summer months when more electricity is consumed. BPL will implement its increase in phases over the next 18 months, according to its statement, October 1st to November 30th, 2022, December 1st, 2022 to February 28th, 2023, March 1st to May 31st, 2023, June 1st to August 31st, 2023, and September 1st to November 30th, 2023. The Prime Minister acknowledges that the increases come at a time when many families are already struggling.
As you know all too well, our country has for several years been in a very serious economic and fiscal crisis. We have come a long way over the last year. We have started our recovery in a very meaningful way. A lot more Bahamians are working, and we are reducing the nation's debt burden, and we have stabilized our finances. But there's still a long way to go. There are too many households where no one has found work yet, or one job is supporting a large family. And after Hurricane Dorian and the COVID lockdowns, when finally things were starting to look up, we were hit by yet another big shock to our economy. A global inflation crisis, a crisis caused by supply chain interruptions and other kinds of fallout from the pandemic. Our economy is growing, adding new jobs every month, and I wanted to see more Bahamians working before we ask families to pay a higher light bill. When times are tough, coming up with an extra $20 a month is no small thing.
Prime Minister Davis says after implementing price increases in stages over the next 4 quarters, BPL calculates that the fuel charge will begin to come down. As for how this all fits into the bigger picture, Prime Minister Davis says the shift is underway for solar-powered energy. For JCN News, I'm Lissy Bastian.
Thanks for that report, Lissy. On Monday, through the Ministry of Finance, the government officially launched the e-procurement and supplies registry system at Margaritaville Beach Resort. The system, dubbed Go Bonfire, will serve as the platform through which all goods, services, and contracts for government and quasi-government agencies will be sourced. The platform will also be able to provide better transparency, accountability, and efficiency throughout the government. Chairman of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation, Crystal Rutherford-Ferguson, explains why procurement is so important to the country.
Public procurement represents on average 12% of GDP in OECD countries and up to 30% of GDP in developing countries. This means that public procurement is an important tool, particularly now, as our country continues to rebound from the impacts of the COVID-19 virus. And further, that it could be used to stimulate economic development while obtaining goods and services that our country needs.
Minister of Finance, Prime Minister Philip Davis, asserts that the new system will be critical to digital transformation and improve access to public procurement opportunities.
Blueprint for Change speaks directly to digital transformation and specifically the government procurement platform. Go Bonfire aligns with our ease of doing business approach to rescue the economy. From anywhere, a business entity can submit proposals for procurement opportunities with government and quasi-government agencies. For fiscal year 2022-2023, we have allocated approximately $795 million for recurrent and capital expenditure. That represents vast procurement opportunities for goods and services and for construction services. The budget is structured around 3 priorities: managing the costs of living for Bahamians, creating and expanding jobs and ownership opportunities for Bahamians, and enhancing the safety and security of our communities and borders.
Prime Minister Davis also outlining some of the ministry's objectives following the launch of this new website.
The focal activities of the Go Bonfire e-procurement platform embrace our governance ideals and provide the requisite solution to facilitate our objective. From Go Bonfire, we will assist government by enhancing our ability to gather accurate, real-time data to inform decision-making, to ensure that obligations, including payments, are being met on time, and to monitor the life cycle of the project. We have carefully selected this solution because it will ensure that procurement is consistent across the public sector, reducing cost without compromising quality, minimizing product failures, and assuring operational efficiency to improve outputs of the supply chain.
The Go Bonfire platform expands on the legacy procurement platform and enables vendors to, among other things, search procurement opportunities across all government agencies, download and have instant access to all government procurement opportunities, and receive procurement opportunity notices that may interest the vendor. And finally, in this segment, many of you may recall an incident happening last month where an alleged altercation occurred between a principal and a teacher at a primary school. Well, the Bahamas Union of Teachers certainly remembers and are now taking the matter up with the Prime Minister to find a resolution. Kil Campbell brings you the story.
Y'all say it's a new day, but it's a new day at Thelma Gibson Primary School. And the teachers have had enough.
Teachers from Thelma Gibson Primary School protested along with members of the Bahamas Teachers Union on the grounds of the Office of the Prime Minister this morning, requesting an audience with the nation's leader to bring resolution to the matter regarding the principal of the school. Teachers at the school are demanding her removal following a confrontation with one of the teachers last month. Speaking on behalf of Thelma Gibson teachers, BUT President Belinda Wilson says there has been issues at the school for weeks, having tried every avenue to resolve the matter.
So we have gone to the Labor Department. We have written to the Minister of Education. We have written to the Permanent Secretary. We've had several meetings and this matter has not been resolved. So we came here this morning in a silent protest so that the Prime Minister would know that when Belinda Wilson speaks, she speaks for the members. And this morning I'm speaking for Thelma Gibson Primary School teachers, and we want a resolution to this matter, and we're of the view that the resolution is the removal of the principal. The teachers have no more confidence in the principal. She has allegedly physically attacked a teacher, and that matter has also been reported to the Elizabeth Estate Police Station.
The BUT president alleges that the Thelma Gibson principal, Olivia Daxon, at her previous post as principal at Carlton E. Francis Primary School, locked teachers out of the school back in 2019, adding that the union has gone to the Supreme Court over Ms. Daxon's actions and behavior, which is still yet to be adjourned. When asked about the union's next plan of action should the matter remain unresolved, the BUT president says they don't plan on letting this issue fester further.
We'll use every avenue that we have, whether it's industrial or legal, to have the matter resolved satisfactorily for the majority of the teachers, teachers' aides, the librarian, the staff at Thelma Gibson Primary School. One person should not cause others to not be comfortable and work in a safe environment.
With the alleged incident that happened at Carlton Francis yet to be resolved, President Wilson says it is their view that Ms. Daxon should not have been placed in another school. When asked if the union's actions are due to a lack of movement by the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, the BUT president says the Minister of Education referred the matter to the Labor Board.
And the Director of Labor was in a series of meetings not only with myself and the teachers and our legal counsels, and we feel as though that the Department of Labor has done their part. However, the Ministry of Education has not done its due diligence because there are some matters that pertain specifically to what education has remit of, and those matters have not been addressed, and tomorrow will make 7 days since we had the last meeting. And we don't believe that Mrs. Daxon returning to Thelma Gibson must just be business as usual. And because of her actions in the past and present, we are saying that we even believe that she needs some counseling. She needs some mental health and counseling. You cannot just behave in a certain manner and it's indicative of your actions over the years. You can breach whatever the law and the policies and the rules are, and then you just return to the school business as usual and everybody must just fall in line? No.
According to the BUT president, teachers and staff at Thelma Gibson have allegedly been approached and threatened by persons connected with Ms. Daxon, which includes a man hired by the principal to do work around the school, as well as Ms. Daxon's children and family members. She added that a number of parents have also had complaints about Thelma Gibson's principal, with there being a petition for her removal signed by teachers, staff, aides, and even some parents. This is the second day this week that teachers have protested since Ms. Daxon returned to the campus following administrative leave. Ms. Wilson invites parents of students at Thelma Gibson to take part in possible future demonstrations if the matter is not resolved. For JCN News, I'm Cale Campbell. Thanks for that report, Cale. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.
Kids, let's go! Sean, what are you doing?
I solved it.
We'll buy our life insurance policy from this company and then go over here and get our home insurance. Then get our motor policy from right over here.
Or we could just get it all with CG Atlantic. Save a lot of money and effort.
They do it all? Even pensions?
Even pensions.
We're like a husband that doesn't overcomplicate everything. CG Atlantic. Good like that.
Marlin Marine and Generac have the standby generator that fits your needs. Conserve power by using only 1 or 2 circuits during an outage with our 7.5 kilowatt. Or manage your power usage with our 10 to 16 kilowatt standby. But why only power part of the house? Get whole house protection with our 20 kilowatt Generac standby and never lose power again. Give us a call at 393-7873 and get the right unit for you. Marlin Marine, giving you power on land and sea.
Problem gambling and addiction has many faces. You never really know you have a problem until it has overtaken you. You just keep on making excuses. You could be down to your last dollar and listen to that voice that tells you you might just hit one big number or even a lucky spin. Before you know it, you begin chasing your losses and borrowing money from your friends, family, and even strangers. The next thing you know, you are using the money for your rent or electricity bill. Then when you become so desperate, it's the children's school fees, lunch that is being used to feed the addiction. It just doesn't stop. No matter how much you lose or how many people you hurt, you're the last person to admit that you have an illness. You are in constant denial, lying to yourself and playing the blame game. They don't understand. They don't get it. Everyone is always judging me. You stress me out and cause me to gamble. You become your own worst enemy without even realizing it. It wasn't until I lost the trust of everyone that was there for me and was completely alone that I can see that something had to change. I really needed help. I just couldn't do it on my own. If you or anyone else you know needs help, please call the numbers on your screen. Remember, hope and help is available. Call today.